Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, we have with us Dan deWitte. Dan is a business coach, digital strategist, and entrepreneur dedicated to sharing his knowledge with small businesses who want to leverage the online market. As a business coach, Dan specializes in tailored business strategies, business development, and automation. Working closely with businesses to identify their needs, Dan thinks outside the conventional box to develop easy-to-implement, effective solutions. As the founder of the Outer Space Network, Dan has used his knowledge and experience in rapid growth and brand development to create an original mentoring and support platform. Although bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Dan isn't a stranger when it comes to starting and growing successful businesses. Starting his professional career as an internationally published photographer, Dan knows design and presentation. His creative flair and instinct for presentation gives him a competitive edge in brand development. So, without further delay, welcome Dan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Yannick.
Awesome. Could you take maybe about 1 to 2 minutes and just share with our audience a little bit about yourself, about your journey and how it has been, and, just how you have been able to do all the things that you've done so amazingly to where you are today?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you've done a perfect intro. If we can add on top of where I've been and where I am right now, we fast forward. I've officially launched a brand new tech product that's launched a little over 2 weeks ago now, called Active Relay. So I've moved from my coaching-based platform into another SaaS, and SaaS means software as a service based platform. And essentially I wouldn't be where I am today if the internet didn't exist. That is the crux of what I do. And I think that's quite inspiring, because we're in this age, for us, for instance, we're talking, we're recording this podcast over Skype. You're in Jamaica and I'm in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing more inspiring and powerful than that.
Amazing.
So yeah, you've wrapped up my story quite well. I love adventure sports. I love getting out as much as I can from the computer, although of lately I haven't had as much time away from the computer because of the launch of the new product. But that is definitely one of the aspects that I do enjoy in life, because that's the ultimate goal, what we're trying to achieve, right, with creating these digital businesses, or businesses that are enabled by the internet, is to give us more time, more freedom, so we can go and do the things that we love and enjoy doing, but also spend time with family and friends that are valuable in our life.
Awesome. That's very true. Now, I know you mentioned that you're big on the digital platform, and without the internet, your business would never exist. But for many of our listeners that are listening to this podcast, some of them actually do business in the online platform, but some of them are also brick and mortar. Now, could you explain to them if they're thinking of transitioning from brick and mortar to the online space, how it is that they can manage their customer experiences, and do you think it's different in managing that experience face-to-face versus online? What are some key indicators that need to be considered?
Yeah, definitely. Branching into the online space can be quite overwhelming to start, because there's all the flashy whiz-bang tools. There's every man and his dog that's out there trying to tout the next best thing that you should jump on and use. And I'm a big believer of simplicity. So starting with one platform and working your way up from there. Now, to tie that in with the customer experience, if anybody gets anything out of this podcast, it's humanizing that whole aspect. We can get caught up in creating automations and automated business processes that we end up automating ourselves or working ourselves out of the business, which is a blessing and a curse at the same time. And the reason I say it's both blessing, because it gives us more time, more freedom, but a curse on the same token, we lose the one-to-one connectivity as you would if you were a traditional brick and mortar based business, where you can actually build that relationship by a simple handshake, exchange of a business card, that kind of stuff. When you come online, it becomes a lot of smoke and mirrors. And one of the challenges a lot of businesses face is making sure that they're messaging what they do in the offline space, the brick and mortar space, is the same as what it would be in the online space, and as humanizing as possible. Because at the end of the day, all we want to do is be a part of a community. And what you're building in your brick and mortar businesses, regardless if it's Joe's tire shop down the road, he's got a community of people, and he's got a community of people that come back to him time and time after again because they've built the relationship. And what we want to do is we want to try and replicate that relationship in the online space.
Wow, that's amazing. So in your new product that you just launched 2 weeks ago, Active Replay, correct?
Active Relay, yes. Relay,
my apologies.
No, you're right.
Could you share with us what are some ways that you try to humanize that experience, even though it's automated?
So to give a bit of background on Active Relay is a payment platform that is designed around a CRM called Active Campaign. So we're the payment platform element of a email marketing CRM out in the space right now. And where I play in, like, predominantly selling digital products and digital services and even physical-based products online, it's quite a challenge for you, the user, to actually sell something without having to do a lot of configurations, multiple other little third-party tools, and at the end of the day, it stacks up and becomes quite expensive for you, the user, or the seller of whatever you sell. So the whole goal of Active Relay was to simplify and enable people like yourself, Yannick, to sell online smarter, better, faster. Now, there's a two-pronged approach to that. The second element to that is bridging the customer experience and making that 10 times faster. So in the online payment space world, which is where I'm heavily playing and focusing my energy in what I do, is in that e-commerce space and around how we can actually bridge the relationship that we have offline, taking that online to becoming what they call a lead in the online space as well. Or an email prospect is taking that person from being just an email prospect to actually giving you their credit card over the internet, because that is such, the next step is getting that credit card information from them. And we've touched on this in a previous call together, Yannick, the whole, I'm not going to walk up to some random in the street and go, will you marry me? Because 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no, right? Mm-hmm. There is the people that, the first mover advantages or the opportunists that go, oh, why not, right? But 9 times out of 10, if someone walked up to you on the street and asked you to marry them, you would more than likely say no,
sure.
Right? It's the exact same in the online space. So what we've done within Active Relay is we're enabling you guys to obviously sell things online faster and smarter and simpler, but we're also shortening the actual checkout experience, depending on the experiences of people who are listening to the podcast. When you purchase things online, you generally have to go find the product, add the product to the cart, then confirm that's the product you want in the cart, then go to checkout, and then you go through like 2 or 3 steps in the checkout before you actually get your product. Mm-hmm. What Active Relay is designed to do is put all of that onto the one page. So you click on the link to buy the product is all on the order form, all the information you need to fill out is all on the order form. You hit buy, you then get funneled into the Active Campaign CRM, and away you go. Right? So that's how we've shortened that experience from there and taken that journey from being a bit of a barrier. And what people have been finding online is that multiple steps or doing more than one thing at once, it becomes a real blocker in the space and a hurdle, because we're lazy, everyone's lazy, mm-hmm. and if it seems too hard, then we're going to cut away from it.
That is true.
That's the crux of the whole experience, and you can take people on a wild journey, and that's the most exciting thing for me in the online space, is that we get to control the whole journey. Now, you can do that in the offline space as well. In the brick and mortar business, you can actually give someone a bit of content and give someone another bit of content and then sell them something and whatnot. But you have a lot more control in the online space, because they don't actually get to ask you anything back, right? You get to just tell them what they're doing on the next stage. You give them the option, right? Do you want to do this, yes or no? But we're not doing, do you want to do this, yes or no, or maybe, right? That maybe is a lot of hesitation. Mm-hmm. So we want to make it as simple as possible for people to purchase your product online, or even just be in your community online.
Right. I totally agree with you. I do believe that it's so important that whatever system or procedure you have for a customer online, it needs to be extremely seamless and as easy as 1, 2, 3. Like literally, a baby could come and, navigate their way through that experience. And I said that because
Definitely.
last week I was trying to navigate through the whole Facebook pixels and the targeting of ads. And honestly, it was so frustrating. And even though I did manage to post the ad, I'm not 100% sure if what I followed was actually the correct way to go, even though I was following, a YouTube video that Facebook had put up as well as an article. And I just think that whole process could be a little bit easier, especially for people who are not technologically, inclined to just know what you're talking about, using some of the jargon or the language that they use in explaining how to do these targeted ads.
Definitely.
So
and this also presents a challenge, though, Unique, that there is also a perceived understanding of what to do with, doing certain elements and stuff like that. Like Facebook's perceived understanding is what a pixel should do, and you should roughly know where to integrate it. And now that trips them up when there's people who want to learn how to do the pixel. And there's not as much education around there. So it's kind of like you have to pick the audience you want to tailor for and go after them. Mm. And you're always going to get people on the fringes like yourself. You've found the experience of implementing the Facebook pixel quite a challenge where, I've done the Facebook pixel so many times I don't even need to think about it anymore. I know exactly what's happening. But we're coming from two different knowledge bases, and we're coming from two different experiences in the online space. And this is the hard thing, really hard thing for businesses to understand, is that you can't always focus on the lowest common denominator, because you're going to piss the person off that fully understands it and does, wants to fast track the whole process. So you've got to put in not secondary tutorials or anything like that, but ways that people can fast track the experience, because they don't want to sit there stuck on doing, this is step 1.1. They want to go from step 1 to 3 in 2 seconds flat.
True. That's true. That is true. That's a part of the instant gratification, right?
Definitely. Yes. We want it now.
Yeah.
Actually, we wanted it yesterday.
Yes. I wanted it before you even knew that I wanted it.
Exactly.
Amazing. Now, as a customer yourself, Dan, how has your experience been? How do you feel about customer experience on a global level? What's customer experience like in Australia?
It's interesting. I literally just got back from a around the world trip, and if we use the brick and mortar based things, the US customer experience is phenomenal compared to Australia. Australia's rubbish. To put it bluntly, it's chalk and cheese in differences where, I was in one classic example is I remember walking into a classic American diner in New York, just outside of Times Square. And I forget the dude's name, but I'd probably walk in there tomorrow and he'd remember my name. But there was a bit of a lunch line waiting to get in, and we put our names down on the list to wait to be seated. And the head waiter or the seater remembered our name 45 minutes later after we left, and he was like, "Thanks, Dan and Lauren. I hope you enjoy the rest of your travels and safe travels back to Australia." I was like, oh, far out. In the amount of time he sat us down, he's probably sat 30 or 40 other people in the diner, and he still remembers my name.
Nice.
That is fantastic. We left the diner going, that was really, really cool.
Wow.
That whole experience was amazing, just simply by remembering our name. And that is even just little things like that. And you can do those little things like that in the online space, where you can send an automated sequence of emails and have someone's first name in there, because it feels more personal, right? The connection is more genuine. And then you go to a cafe in Australia and it's like, "Good morning, what would you like?" That's it. There's no effort to build some form of relationship, and then they deliver you the stuff, and there's no like, oh, enjoy. And now I'm stipulating here, and I'm kind of putting all of Australia in one basket. But this is kind of just one example. There's definitely restaurants here that are absolutely fantastic, and I can't bag them out at all. But the general consensus of a cafe or a diner here in Australia is not as the customer experience just isn't there from a personality standpoint, and are willing to, if I can politely swear, give a shit about your customer. And that goes a long way. Like, yes. It really, really goes a long way.
That is true. That is true. And, you know, it's a good thing you pointed out that something as simple as remembering the customer's name is very important. It's so powerful because regardless of where we are from in the world or what language we speak or what cultures we're from, we all have something that's unique to us, and that's what people call us by. And so if you give someone your name, it's so important to use it and to use it properly, because it really does differentiate the experience, and it sets, you know, that whole experience apart. And look at what you remembered from your trip. I mean, I'm sure the food was good, but you didn't mention that the food was great. You mentioned the fact that, you know, the waiter was serving 30 or 40 at the tables, and he remembered you and your guest's name, and that's what stood out in your mind. And I've found over the years that it's always the little things that separate the really great companies from the ones that are just doing, you know, the bare minimum.
100%. And if you can put in that extra 10%, you're already light years ahead of it. Any other business, company, small business, whatever you want to label yourself out there, against your competitors. Like, if you put in that extra 10%, and look, I can't preach that I'm perfect, because I'm definitely not. And, you know, we all fall short on missing things out in our experience. But if you're consistently striving to do that every single day, you know, practice makes perfect at the end of the day.
Great. Now, if I'm an online business owner, as in most of my business that I transact is online, what are some everyday solutions? Maybe you can give us like 2 or 3 that you believe can help to improve my customer experience.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a few things. So what springs to mind right now is being authentic on Facebook. Like, if you and authentically telling the story of you. So if you're one, like a classic example is if you're one that always wears makeup everywhere and you're all about the makeup and you're all about the look and the aesthetics, then you need to genuinely portray that online, right? In Facebook videos, pictures and stuff like that. But if you're a person who is like loves building the relationship around this is who you are, and authentically portraying that, you'll win as well. So it's kind of like picking your digital persona to resonate what you are in real life, because people can smell fake from a mile off. Like seriously, I can land on a website right now and I can go either A, unprofessional, or B, fake.
Yeah.
Right. So when we look at portraying our image online, we want to make sure that it's as authentic as we are in real life.
Very
and
true.
the way to do that is test it with your audience. Ask your audience. Just simply ask them, what do you think of our new website? Or what do you think of, you know, our new ebook or guide that we've just released out into the market space? Ask them what they think, because they're going to tell you. The ones that care will tell you. And the ones that don't care aren't necessarily the customers that you're going to have with you long term.
True. Okay, so be authentic.
So, yeah, be authentic online and really, like, that's probably the core aspect from when starting out. In regards to tools, like, do you mean like certain tools to utilize, or
Definitely. Any tip that you could give an online business owner to help them improve on their customer experience, whether from a personal perspective, as you just pointed out, in terms of being authentic, or more from a strategic point of view in terms of what specific tools would be the best options for them to use without going through the growing pains of saying, okay, gosh, I wish if I knew that this product was better, I would have started using it from day one instead of wasting the last 6 months using this one that hasn't yielded me the greatest results that I was looking for.
Yeah, definitely. So in regards to tools, the first 3 that spring to mind that you must have, number 1 is ActiveCampaign. And ActiveCampaign is an email marketing CRM, right? Because we want to keep in contact with our people, regardless if we own a brick and mortar business or not. Because at the end of the day, we're all playing on our mobile phones. We're all checking Facebook. We're all doing that stuff from our mobile phone. So if you can be connected with them by simply sending them a touch base, an email that's just touching base, going, "Hey, how's your day going?" That speaks wonders to building the relationship, right? And you can do all of that with ActiveCampaign, and it's a really simple platform to start out. To get you online, you're looking at about $9 a month to start, which is really, if you think about it, it's 2 cups of coffee in a month. If you can spare 2 cups of coffee or a glass of wine or beer or something like that, you're fine. The next tool that I really, really love is called Zapier, Zapier, and that essentially is a connectivity tool that connects practically anything that you can think of to anything you can think of in regards to online tools. It's kind of the junction box, as you will, for PowerPoint, so you can plug in anything. And it is such a great tool for increasing productivity and fast tracking a lot of your internal stuff. Classic example is if a client does something, you want to be notified, or if they email in some content, you want to upload it to something else. There's a variety of things. If someone schedules an appointment in your calendar, you want them to go into your email CRM to send them an email saying thank you for booking in a time. Like there's so many things that we can do with Zapier. So that is my number 1 tool, number 2. And then tool number 3 would have to be WordPress. Now, there's so many free platforms out there to get you up and running with your getting a website online. Like there's Wix.com, there is free website builder, like there's a bajillion of them. But if you really want to increase like your speed, like these are all learning curve platforms. These aren't, you can't just go out and plug them in and away you go. There's going to be some time learning involved in them.
Right.
But the beautiful thing and why I recommend WordPress is that you can upload themes, you can connect it to any platform that you want it to, namely ActiveCampaign, you have the connectivity to connect it to that. And what WordPress is it's essentially a CMS, and what CMS stands for is Content Management System. So you would have a WordPress installation on your website, and that would manage your whole system. So that'd be things like your homepage, your thank you page, your blogs, and all of that jazz gets managed within the WordPress element of your system. So I'd highly recommend go and make sure that your hosting has WordPress on it, or your website's built in WordPress, just so the connectivity, because a lot more people, like you can practically ask anyone in the internet marketing space to do something in WordPress and they'll get it really, really quick, right? Because it's such a widely common tool to be utilizing in the online space. And if you couple these 3 together, and if they're done in the right way, you're not only saving yourself time, but also money in the process on developing your products and your infrastructure, but also you're improving your customer experience, because all 3 of those applications are designed to make life easier and make life more efficient. So for ActiveCampaign, it's designed to have those multiple touch points with your clients around maintaining the relationship. Zapier is the connectivity tool that connects every platform under the sun that you can think of to connect to the other, so you can actually do automating style aspects. And then WordPress is, it's the workhorse websites in the space. So they would be my three for the tools that I would use every day in, day out.
Wow, amazing. So great information. So I have some follow-up questions to the information you just shared. So the first follow-up question is, you indicated that your first option would be active campaign. So my question is, if we have members of our audience that are listening now, and let's say they already have an email marketing tool, let's say they're using Aweber or they're using Contact, is it Contact Support? I think that's the name of it. Or customer contact, and they wanted to
constant
contact, right?
Yep.
And they wanted to move, like they were impressed with what you've said. They checked out the website. It's actually worked out to be cheaper in terms of costing and pricing, and it's yielding them the same results or better. Is it possible for them to move their email list from those hosts over to ActiveCampaign? Does ActiveCampaign facilitate that kind of move?
Definitely. ActiveCampaign wouldn't facilitate that move per se. They would assist in onboarding, like getting you on board, but you would have to do the migration aspect yourself. But it's relatively straightforward. All you would have to be doing is exporting out of your Aweber, your Constant Contact, your MailChimp into something like ActiveCampaign.
Okay, great. And then my second follow-up question is, could you give an example? I know you said that Zapier is like the workflow that allows you to connect different apps. Could you give us a practical example of using Zapier in your business as a small business and what that really means when you said it can connect apps together so people can get a visual of what you're talking about?
Definitely. So one Zapier that I use very, very well is I have a Zapier connection that connects an opt-in form on my website. It actually connects it to my CRM ActiveCampaign. So what happens is I have for instance, a pop-up on my website. Now, this pop-up tool that I use doesn't actually natively connect or have a native connection into ActiveCampaign. So what I use is a Zapier connection to send that data to ActiveCampaign and start automations from that front. So that's one example. Another Zapier connection example is I have another tool called Slack. Slack is a team. Essentially, it's like Facebook chat for your staff, but it's completely removed from Facebook naturally. So it's called Slack. And what I use Zapier for is if a client does a certain amount of actions in a particular time frame. So let's just say a client clicks on 3 emails, reads 4 blogs within the space of 2 weeks, right, and has not purchased a product from me before, I want Zapier to send a notification to my Slack team to say, hey, can you personally follow up with John Smith because he has done X, Y, and Z in the last 2 weeks and not purchased a product. This, to me, and the reason why I have this notification is it shows that I have someone interested in what I do, but I'm presuming here they're sitting on the fence, and I don't know why they're sitting on the fence. So let's reach out to them and ask how we can better the experience and actually get them on board as a client.
Awesome. Wow. That's really a customer experience way of humanizing the experience.
Definitely.
I love that one. Awesome. I'm glad I asked that follow-up question because it really has brought it to light, both for myself and, as I said, for the audience who is listening, so that people can get a real idea of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much, Dan, for sharing that information. Now, can you share with us, how do you stay motivated every day?
It's a great question. At the moment, I'm kind of burning the midnight oil. I'm up at about 4:35 most mornings, and I'm rarely in bed before 11 at night, just because of the launch of Active Relay. But motivation, it's an interesting question. What motivates me is giving other people the opportunity to be more and do more in the online space. And creating that, giving you guys the more time, the more flexibility to go and do the things that you enjoy doing, because I've managed to do it in my business. Obviously not at the moment over the last month because of the launch.
Right.
But it's definitely something that I'm starting to work back into my life right now, and making sure that I can save that 3-4 hours a week that I can go for a mountain bike ride over lunch because I feel like going for a mountain bike ride, right? Mm-hmm. And have the confidence to know that my system is a background, that is a process, peace of mind. And when you have things like there's some certain stages in business where we start and it's called, like, it's been dubbed the emotional roller coaster. Now it's a pretty common thing. You can go Google search the emotional roller coaster. And when you start out in business, you become this really optimistic style person with a great outlook on life, and it's all fantastic, all sunshine and rainbows. And then you hit a roadblock. True. Right? And that roadblock could be a client wants a refund, you can't get your damn website to work, or there's something wrong in your technology, right? You hit a roadblock, and then you start doubting everything, and the motivation just goes downhill. Mm-hmm. And then you have another win, and then you go back up, and you keep going and you keep going. And what I like to focus on is maintaining that like leveling out that emotional roller coaster, so it's not so great, got a lot of motivation, and then, oh no, I'm diving again. Like, we're always going to have that, and like you'll have that always. But as you start breaking through back in your business, and you start, the first time you employ your first person, there's a hurdle, because now you've got to deal with how to manage your staff's customers externally to you. Now, staff are a massive aspect, especially with people with brick and mortar businesses, is they're your biggest brand ambassador. And if you're not inspiring them and educating them, then you're shooting yourself in the foot, right? That's some simple low-hanging fruit. And if we tie it back to the diner in America, like the owner of that diner must be so proud of his senior manager. He'd be instilling so much confidence in him and so much inspiration in him to go, to be a leader in what he does, that he then in turn, like, it just oozes out of him in the customer experience, that I had while I was in there.
Right.
But motivating aspects, as long as I'm getting out and doing things that I enjoy doing, then coming back and doing the stuff in the online space is kind of my jam, and I really enjoy it. Like, I wake up every morning going, I'm excited to go to work today. And when I was on my honeymoon back in February with my wife, we ended our honeymoon 2 days earlier because we were like, we've had enough of holidays. Can we go back to work now? Wow. And we both mutually agreed with that, purely because we were, and we're not, we're not motivated by the goal of making squillions of dollars. Like, don't get me wrong, that is amazing and that's fantastic and that's our driver, right? That's where we want to be going. Mm-hmm. But our values and what we want to do and what we're doing with our clients is all about enabling them to do more. And at the end of the day, if the success of our clients is based off what we do, then the money's naturally going to happen, right? True. So if you treat your customers right in the first place, they're going to keep coming back for more, and they're just going to keep paying you more and more and more, and that's how your business is going to grow.
True. Awesome.
So that's my take on the motivation.
Natural motivation, dedication to help seeing other people succeed, and in helping them succeed and reaching their goals, you feel a level of satisfaction and gratification. Definitely. And as a result, the money will naturally flow. I agree.
Definitely.
Now, could you share with us what are some books that you have read along your journey that have had the biggest impact on you?
This is a good question. And my simple answer is I'm not much of a book reader.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I'm not much of a book reader. I learn through doing. That's my biggest thing. But the one that I really quite enjoy is Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Yes.
That is an absolutely fantastic book. And anyone who wants to learn about how they can naturally ooze why what you do will sell, because at the end of the day, and this is his language, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
True.
people don't buy into me being the automation specialist. They buy into why I'm doing this, because they want to have the more time, the more freedom to go ahead and do the things that they love doing. Mm-hmm. So that's probably the pinnacle book that I would recommend. Now, there's a few others that I have. There's Guy Kiyosaki, The Art of the Start. That's a great little startup style book, and he's a fantastic author.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not much of a reader, to be brutally honest.
That's okay.
I learn a lot online, and like I read content online, and I consume a lot of my content online. But I'm not one to chill out with a book and a cup of coffee and sit and read. I kind of get agitated. I need to be moving.
Yes. And it's interesting that you said that you do a lot of your knowledge garnering or collection online, because at the end of the day, the internet, I mean, even in my own experience, I've been in business for 8 years now. Mm-hmm. And I must say, most of the things that I practice in my business didn't come from my high school degree or my degree at university.
Oh, no way.
It has come from just like, trial and error, asking questions, meeting great people like you through Facebook groups and, just connecting and doing things that really takes me out of my comfort zone. That's really where my knowledge has grown. Even in terms of my presentation skills for my workshops and stuff, all of those things I learned through actually, going on YouTube videos, reading stuff, reading content online, because, the reality is the internet is its own university that you can literally self-pace in terms of whatever it is you want to learn.
Exactly. And I think that's where I flourished. I struggled through high school and college in Australia. I went to uni for a year and a half and dropped out because I didn't like the learning style. And I've been self-sufficient ever since. And I've been running multiple businesses since the age of 19, 20-ish. And it's just been learned by doing. Like I've had some amazing, and I don't chalk them up as failures, but massive learning curves in my business life. And I'm still going on learning curve. Like this new product that I've just launched now, Active Relay, that's a massive learning curve for me because I'm doing it solo this time. My previous one, I had a team around me. I had 12 staff and a business partner. This one is me, myself, and I, and my team of 6 that's scattered all over the world. So inherently, it has its own challenges again. But yeah, it's all been self-taught, self-motivated to learn those things because it excites me. Like I enjoy that stuff.
Right. That's amazing. Great inspiration for those listeners out there who are thinking of doing anything that you've done, or they are thinking of trying something that is new and a bit uncomfortable to them. Hearing that Dan could do it and he gets excited by the challenge of knowing that he overcame it should be motivation enough for you to actually just, as Nike says, just do it.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the one thing that's going on in your life right now that you are really excited about? Maybe something that you're working on to develop yourself, or your 6 people that you have scattered throughout the world helping you to build your campaign?
Yeah, short answer, Active Relay. That is the most exciting thing in my actually, from a business perspective, the most exciting thing in my life, yes.
Okay.
I'm thoroughly enjoying the journey that I've been on with that over the last 6-8 months. I'm learning every day about how my users are selling online and how they would ultimately love to sell online, in their ideal world. And like I've consumed and learned so much from those people because, I've connected with my consumer. I've gone, well, guys, help me build the ultimate platform. What would you want? What would you like to see happening? So that's the number one thing in the business life side of things right now. On the life capacity, I'm newly married, got married in February this year. So we're a little under 8 months in, and I'm thoroughly enjoying that. My wife's amazing. She's an incredible woman. And that's probably the most exciting thing in my personal life right now, is just making sure that I'm actually spending more time now. I have neglected her over the last month, and she's been very supportive of me while I've been launching Active Relay. But it's, getting back to the relationship aspect, and we touched on that earlier in the podcast, is, making sure that I'm getting back and doing the things that I enjoy doing in life. Spending time with my wife, going on adventures. We love camping. We love, getting out into the wilderness or doing some harebrained adventure sport somewhere along the way.
Nice. Very nice. Cool. All right, Dan. Well, those of our listeners that are listening to this podcast, if they want to connect with you even further, they're thinking about taking on some of these wonderful tools that you've spoken about, or they're even thinking of integrating Active Relay into their business, how can they find you online?
Yeah, well, they can find Active Relay at activerelay.com. They can even chuck Active Relay into Facebook. If you go facebook.com/Active Relay, it's all one word. You can find the platform in there. Just hit the message on the business page there, and I'll happily answer it. If it's not me, it might be one of my support staff, but they will happily funnel the message across. We're, as I said, it's me and 6 people. It's not some massive conglomerate where you have to go through 20 people to find me. So yeah, they can do that. And if they want to personally connect with me on Facebook, I'm more than happy to have that conversation. You can find me at Dan deWitte. There'll probably be in the show notes somewhere how to find me there. But they would be the easiest things. I'm on Instagram. I honestly haven't posted in the last couple of months. I think the last photo was a photo of my wife at the train station in Amsterdam about 2 months ago. So I've got to get back on the bandwagon of posting photos onto Instagram as well. And you can find me on Twitter for those that like to hang out in the Twitter sphere.
Awesome. And apart from the fact that you're available across most platforms as Dan deWitte, and for those listening, the deWitte is DEWITTE, correct?
Correct. You nailed it.
All right. And it's going to also be available in the show notes. They can find you so either through Active Relay or Dan deWitte. Either way, they'll find
Correct.
you on either platform, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
100%.
great. Well, there's one last question, a little bonus that we always like to ask our guests before we wrap the show up, and that is, what is one quote or saying that during times of adversity or challenges, you tend to revert back to that quote to kind of recenter you and help you go back on track? Do you have one of those?
I do have one.
Okay.
Because I am a very creative person. And that one that's always resonated with me is, logic will get you from A to B, but creativity can take you anywhere.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So
that one always resonates with me, because you can be logical about something and it can work from a, A to B point. But if you throw in a bit of creativity or think on the fly, it can literally take you anywhere. So, it resonates with just getting off the beaten track and doing something completely different, or, connecting with people differently. Like, there's just so many different ways, and creativity is one thing. Even if the people say they don't have creativity, we are all creative in some aspect.
That's true. That's very true. I agree with you on that one. Because we all have our own unique style and creativity, and what may be
100%.
A creative artwork to you may be a masterpiece to someone else. So, as I said, my thing is, as Nike says, just do it.
Love it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Dan. I really enjoyed this interview. I learned so much, and I'm sure those of our listeners out there who are also new to the online platform, or they're already seasoned in the online platform, but maybe are not yielding the results that they're hoping to yield, the tips and nuggets and strategies that you shared with us today and the practical examples, they can actually take back and make some changes in their business. And again, you can check our show notes, guys, to connect with Dan if there's any questions you have regarding maybe something he said in this interview that you're not clear on, I'm sure he would be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Right, Dan?
Definitely. And I'm also in your Facebook group, the Navigating the Customer Experience Facebook group.
Yes.
So if they have questions, fire them into that as well.
Yes.
I hang out in there.
Awesome. That's so true. So just to remind our listeners, for those of you who are not connected in our closed Facebook group, it's called Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And we have all of our past guests as well as listeners. So Dan is in there. And that's just an awesome place to connect with him as well, because at least that's a space where people are talking about improving their customer experience, both online and offline. So any questions you may have regarding anything that we spoke about or anything else that you may have questions on, feel free to shoot them there to him as well. So thank you again, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on.
You're most welcome. And we just want to remind you again, if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, our Twitter handle is NavigatingCX. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time. I'm your host, Yannick Grant. We really appreciate your support of this podcast. Are you ready to grow your business even more? Or improve your leadership skills? Or train your team members in the art of customer service? Give us a call at 305-848-0815 or visit our website at www.yannickgrant.com. That's YANNIQUEGRANT.com. Remember, 305-848-0815 or visit our website at yannickgrant.com. Our new online course, Mastering Customer Experience and Increasing Your Revenue, is now available. The link for this will be on the show notes of each episode starting September 7, 2016. The first 2 modules are free, so hop on over, have a look, and take the steps to increase your revenue.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.